Many Canadians who traditionally support the NDP, like that prairie communist behind the camera, are very disappointed in Jagmeet Singh. How long is he going to continue on? We're going to get the answer to that. But before then, please subscribe, ask your friends to subscribe. And in the time of PMO paid media, just look at the Toronto Star any day, keep independent media on the air to analyze issues. And that's what we do. And Ginny Roth, as I said, is a very smart consultant. With Crestview, you advise a lot of people, businesses, and you watch things. And you and I have both watched the NDP, some would say, lose its stride because they say they're supporting the government. Even some NDPers are saying in the last few weeks, saying, there's nothing more we could do, get out of this government. So will they continue to do that, or will they pull the plug and we'll have an early election?
Well, what's interesting is they have a real opportunity. If you look at some recent polling, people who are saying they're going to vote Liberal, not very many of them are excited to vote Liberal. A lot of them just don't want the Conservatives to win, which means they should be accessible to the NDP. The NDP should be able to scoop some, just as Jack Layton did when he had his orange wave, and yet they really are not being able to convert those voters. And I think it's because they're propping up the government, and voters get that. They don't see what Jagmeet Singh would do differently. They don't see him as fighting for them and fighting for their interests. And so if you're a progressive, if you're a Toronto voter in Toronto Danforth, and you're deciding Liberal or NDP, because it's never going to go for Conservative, why vote NDP? What can they offer you that you don't think you're already getting today from a Trudeau government that they prop up? I don't think anyone can answer that question.
Well, I just asked you that question. I want you to answer it after I said, everybody, you're so smart and you are. But really, what you're telling us is that the NDP could be sunk in the next election.
I think that today they are not set up to capitalize on the opportunity they have before them because people don't see in Jagmeet Singh and the current NDP people offering an alternative vision. Here's how we would fix the affordability crisis. Here's what we would do instead. All they're saying is they're happy with what Trudeau's doing. So then what's the point of voting NDP? There isn't.
And yet, after the last election, especially in the debates, people liked Jagmeet. He was entertaining, articulate, and people said, well, this guy's got something going. It just seems since then, he's been saying, I'm supporting this inept, corrupt, whatever you say about the government, but they're not getting a lot out of it.
I don't think it's an attributes problem. I think people are very open to voting for Singh and the Liberals. They like him. He's likable. He connects with people. And he's had moments where he's connected with people, particularly when he's been sort of personally attacked and he comes off as like a sort of strong, empathetic figure. It's on strategy. They're not doing a good job of articulating what they would do different, what their approach would be, why the Liberals are bad and what the Liberals are doing wrong. You just don't hear that from, he's actually focused a lot on fighting Pierre Poilievre, who's not his chief opponent. He may be his chief opponent in some key, Northern Ontario ridings, maybe. But at the end of the day, the NDP should want to hold seats and win seats in urban areas. And to do that, they have to offer an alternative to Trudeau, and they have to bring him down a notch.
But how do you bring him down a notch when, in fact, you're keeping him in power?
Well, you have to stop. You have to stop. I am saying definitively, they should not be propping him up. The supply and confidence agreement is not working politically for the NDP, and they will
or for People Canada.
And I don't think they'll do better until they realize that.
On that note, perfect sense. Ginny, thank you very much. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government, and as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.